Goeienaand julle, ek hoop julle het 'n geseënde Sabbat gehad. Voordat ons met Sabbatsluiting begin, kom ons sluit net gou ons oë. Papa Jesus, baie dankie vir die voorreg wat ons het om weer na U toe te kan kom. Here, net soos ons is, kan ons harte voor U kom oopmaak vanaand. En Here, ek vra dat U ons sal warm maak, dat U ons sal vul met die Heilige Gees. En Here, dankie dat ons nog 'n Sabbatdag saam met U kon deurbring. Here, ek vra dat U my asseblief sal beskerm waar ek die boodskap vanaand bring. En as daar iemand is daar buite wat hierdie boodskap nodig het, Here, vra ek dat die Heilige Gees hulle harte sal voorberei en dat hulle iets uit hierdie boodskap kan leer. Dankie vir wie U vir ons is en dankie vir al die liefde. Ons bid dit in U naam alleen. Amen. Sy was maar 'n skamele 6 jaar oud toe ek haar vir die eerste keer ontmoet het. Ek ry gewoonlik die 4 kilometer af Strand toe elke keer as ek voel dat die wêreld vir my te veel begin raak. Sy was besig om 'n sandkasteel of iets te bou. En toe sy opkyk, kyk ek in die pragtigste blou oogies, so blou soos die see self. Hallo, sê sy. Ek antwoord met 'n knik van die kop. Nou nie juis in die by om te bodder met 'n klein dogtertjie nie. Ek bou, sê sy. Ja, so sien ek. Wat bou jy? Ek gee nou nie juis om wat sy bou nie. Ag, ek weet nie. Ek voel maar net lus om in die sand te speel. Die idee trek my nogal aan en ek trek my skoene uit. 'n Strandlopertjie sweef verby. Dis 'n vreugde, sê sy. Dis 'n wat? 'n Vreugde. Mamma sê dat 'n strandlopertjie vir 'n mens vreugde bring. Die strandlopertjie verdwyn oor die duin. Koebaai vreugde, mompel ek vir myself. Hallo pyn. Ek draai om te loop. Depressie het aan my geknaag, my lewe was 'n gemors. Wat is jou naam? Hierdie dogtertjie gaan nie maklik daar opgooi nie. Robert, sê ek. Robert Petersen. Ek's Wendy. Ek 6. Hallo Wendy, sy giggel. Jy snaaks, sê sy. Ek lag, ten spyte van die donker wolk wat oor my gemoed hang, en ek stap aan. Haar klokhelder giggellaggie volg my. Kom weer, meneer P, skree sy. Kom, sodat ons nog 'n gelukkige dag kan hê. Na 'n paar dae van onbeheerbare boy scouts, frustrerende vergaderings en 'n ou kranklike moeder, het die son een oggend so vrolik geskyn, dat ek die skottelgoed water van my hande afgeskit het, en self. Robert, jy het 'n strandlopertjie nodig. Die heerlike soutseelug wag vir my, en ek gryp my jas. Die windjie is ysig, maar ek stap maar en probeer die rustigheid van die strand indrink. Daardie rustigheid wat ek so bitter nodig het. Hallo meneer P, roep sy my. Wil jy kom speel? Wat het jy in gedagte? Ek voel al vies vir hierdie inbreuk op my gedagtes. Ag, ek weet nie, wat dink jy? Wat van Kennetjie? Vra ek half sarkasties. Haar klokhelder laggie weer klink oor die strand. Ek ken nie daai speletjie nie. Nou maar dan loop ons maar sommer. Ek kyk af na die lewendige klein figuurtjie en ek kan nie help om die delikate bleek gesiggie raak te sien nie. Waar bly jy? Daar ander kant, sê sy, en sy beduie in die rigting van 'n paar somerhuisies. Dis baie snaaks, dink ek, om in die winter in somerhuisies te bly. En waar gaan jy skool? Ek gaan nie skool toe nie. Mamma sê ons is met vakansie. Sy babbel aan mekaar terwyl ons op die strand stap. Maar my gedagtes is baie ver weg. As ek later huis toe ry, sê Wendy vir my dat dit 'n baie lekker dag was. Ek glimlag vir haar. Snaaks genoeg, voel ek ook sommer baie beter. 3 weke later jaag ek af na my strand toe. Dinge het nou net te veel vir my geraak, en ek is nie eers in die by om vir Wendy te groet nie. Ek sien iemand op die somerhuisie se stoep sit, seker Wendy se ma. En ek voel asof ek vir haar wil skree, hou jou dogtertjie asseblief vandag tuis. Ek stap gejaag, maar Wendy haal my in. Asseblief nie vandag nie, snou ek haar toe. Ek wil vandag alleen wees. Sy lyk vandag onnatuurlik bleek en uit asem. Hoekom? Vra sy. Ek gaan staan, draai om na haar toe en skree, want my ma is dood. En skielik wonder ek, waarom ek dit vir hierdie kind vertel. O, sê sy saggies. dan is dit 'n slegte dag. Ja, sê ek, en gister, en eergister, en dan gaan tog net weg. Was dit seer? Sy kan net nie ophou nie. Was wat seer? Ek is moedeloos, met hierdie dogtertjie, en met myself. Toe sy dood is. Natuurlik was dit seer, kap ek terug, sonder om die bedoeling agter haar vraag te verstaan. Ek draai om en stap haastig weg, versonke in my eie see van gedagtes. 'n maand of wat later, toe ek weer op die strand kom, was sy nie daar nie. Ek voel skuldig en skaam oor my gedrag, en ek het haar nogals gemis. Ek stap na die strandhuisie toe en klop aan die deur. 'n vrou maak oop. Ek is Robert Petersen, sê ek. Ek mis jou dogtertjie so vandag, en ek het gewonder waar sy is. O ja, meneer Petersen, kom in asseblief. Wendy het so baie van jou gepraat. Ek is so jammer dat ek toegelaat het dat sy jou gepla het. As sy 'n oorlas was, dan vra ek om verskoning. Ag nee wat, sy is so 'n borrelende klein dogtertjie. En skielik besef ek dat ek werklik bedoel wat ek sê. Wendy is verlede week dood, meneer Petersen. Sy het bloedkanker gehad. Het sy jou nie gesê nie? Skielik draai die wêreld om my en ek gryp haastig vir 'n stoel. Ek is spraakloos. Sy was so lief vir hierdie strand, en toe sy vra dat ons hierheen kom, toe kon ek nie nee sê nie. Sy het soveel beter hier gelyk, en hier het sy baie gelukkige dae gehad. Maar die laaste paar weke het sy baie vinnig agteruit gegaan. Haar stem bewe. Sy het iets vir jou gelos. As ek dit net kan opspoor, sal jy omgee om 'n bietjie te wag. Ek soek dit net gou. Ek knik my kop. Ek soek vir woorde, maar hulle ontbreek. Wat sê ek vir hierdie pragtige jong vrou? Sy gee vir my 'n vuil koevert met meneer P op groot geskryf in kindersletters. Binne is 'n tekening in helder kleure, 'n geel strand, 'n blou see en 'n bruin voël. En onderaan die woorde, 'n strandlopertjie om geluk te bring. Ek kan die trane nie meer keer nie en hierdie kliphart van my, wat al lankal vergeet het wat dit is om lief te hê, kraak en breek. En Wendy, ek neem Wendy se ma in my arms. Ek is so jammer, so bitter, bitter jammer, is al wat ek kan uitkry, oor en saam huil ons. Daardie kosbare prentjie is geraam en hang in my studeerkamer. 6 woorde. 1 vir elke jaar van haar kort lewetjie. Sê vir my van harmonie, dapperheid en 'n onvoorwaardelike liefde. 'n geskenk van 'n dogtertjie met seeblou oë en hare die kleur van die seesand. Sy het my geleer van die geskenk van ware liefde. Ons kan hieruit leer dat ons tyd moet maak om die lewe te geniet en tyd moet maak vir mekaar. Die lewe is so gekompliseerd. Die gejaag en elke dag se probleme en traumas kan maak dat jy fokus verloor en van die dinge wat regtig saak maak vergeet. As jy jou Bybel het, lees saam met my in Eksodus 20 vers 15. Dis 'n baie bekende deel van die 10 gebooie wat sê: moenie iets steel nie. Wat beteken dit as die Bybel sê moenie steel nie? Beteken dit ons mag nie fisiese voorwerpe wat mense kan sien steel nie? Of is daar iets diepers aan die betekenis om nie te steel nie? Ek dink nie 'n mens wat al die geld in die wêreld het en wat alles kan besit, gaan steel nie. Maar tog moet hierdie sin iets vir hulle ook beteken. Ek dink daar is baie ander goed wat ons as mense kan steel van mekaar. Byvoorbeeld, geluk, liefde, kanse vir 'n beter toekoms en selfs tyd. Die hartseer van dit alles is dat ons dit selfs van God kan steel. Ons steel sy liefde deur om dit goedkoop te maak en dit nie net as 'n geskenk te aanvaar nie. Ons steel sy geluk wanneer ons ander mense om ons seer en hartseer maak en dit raak hom tog ook. Maar meer as dit alles, steel ons sy tyd. Ons raak so besig in ons selfsugtige lewe dat daar net nie meer tyd is vir God in ons lewe nie. Die duiwel plaas soveel aardse goed op ons pad dat ons ons fokus verloor en vergeet van die tyd wat ons saam met God moet spandeer. Ek dink dit moet vir God een van die ergste gevoelens wees, wanneer hy desperaat nodig het om tyd saam met ons te spandeer, en ons so besig raak, dat ons soms heeltemal van hom vergeet. Dit moet sy hart breek. In Christ Object Lessons, page 342, skryf Ellen White die volgende. Our time belongs to God. Every moment is His, and we are under the utmost solemn obligation to improve it to His glory. Of no talent He has given, will He require a more strict account than of our time. The value of time is beyond computation. Christ regarded every moment as precious, and it is thus that we should regard it. Life is too short to be trifled away. We have but a few days of probation in which to prepare for eternity. We have no time to waste, no time to devote to selfish pleasure, and no time for the indulgence of sin. It is now that we are to form characters for the future immortal life. It is now that we are to prepare for the searching judgment. Ek wil 'n laaste storie met julle deel. En al is dit op iets aards gebaseer, wil ek hê ons moet besef hoe kosbaar tyd regtig is. En dat dit dalk die laaste tyd is wat ons het om saam met God op aarde te spandeer. When I got home that night, my wife served dinner. I held her hand and said, "I've got something to tell you." She sat down and ate quietly. Again I observed the hurt in her eyes. Suddenly, I didn't know how to open my mouth, but I had to let her know what I was thinking. I want a divorce. I raised the topic calmly. She didn't seem to be annoyed by my words. Instead, she asked me softly, "Why?" I avoided her question. This made her angry. She threw away the chopsticks and shouted at me, "You are not a man!" That night, we didn't talk to each other. She was weeping. I knew she wanted to find out what had happened to our marriage, but I could hardly give her a satisfactory answer. She had lost my heart to Jane. I didn't love her anymore. I just pitied her. With a deep sense of guilt, I drafted a divorce agreement which stated that she could own our house, our car, and 30% stake of my company. She glanced at it and then tore it into pieces. The woman who had spent 10 years of her life with me had become a stranger. I felt sorry for her wasted time, resources, and energy, but I could not take back for what I have said, for I loved Jane so dearly. Finally, she cried loudly in front of me, which was what I had expected to see. To me, her cry was exactly a kind of release. The idea of a divorce, which had obsessed me for several weeks, seemed to be firmer and clearer now. The next day I came back home very late and found her writing something at the table. I didn't have supper, but went straight to bed and fell asleep very fast, because I was tired after an eventful day with Jane. When I woke up, she was still there at the table writing. I just didn't care, so I turned over and was asleep again. In the morning, she presented her divorce conditions. She didn't want anything from me, but needed a month's notice before the divorce. She requested that in that month, we both struggle to live as normal a life as possible. Her reasons were simple. Our son had his exams in a month's time, and she didn't want to disrupt him with our broken marriage. This was agreeable to me, but she had something more. She asked me to recall how I had carried her into our bridal room on our wedding day. She requested that every day for the month's duration, I carry her out of our bedroom to the front door every morning. I thought she was going crazy. Just to make our last days together bearable, I accepted her odd request. I told Jane about my wife's divorce conditions. She laughed loudly and thought it was absurd. No matter what tricks she applies, she has to face the divorce, she said scornfully. My wife and I hadn't had any body contact since my divorce intentions was explicitly expressed. So when I carried her out on the first day, we both appeared clumsy. Our son clapped behind us. "Daddy is holding Mommy in his arms." His words brought a sense of pain. From the bedroom to the sitting room, then to the door. I walked over 10 meters with her in my arms. She closed her eyes and said softly, "Don't tell our son about the divorce." I nodded, feeling somewhat upset. I put her down outside the door. She went to wait for the bus to work. I drove alone to the office. On the second day, both of us acted much more easily. She leaned on my chest. I could smell the fragrance of her blouse. I realized that I hadn't looked at this woman carefully for a long time. I realized she was not young anymore. There were fine wrinkles on her face. Her hair was graying. Our marriage had taken its toll on her. For a minute I wondered what I had done to her. On the fourth day, when I lifted her up, I felt a sense of intimacy returning. This was the woman who had given 10 years of her life to me. On the fifth and sixth day, I realized that our sense of intimacy was growing again. I didn't tell Jane about this. It became easier to carry her as the months slipped by. Perhaps the everyday workout made me stronger. She was choosing what to wear one morning. She tried on quite a few dresses, but couldn't find a suitable one. Then she sighed. "All my dresses have grown too big." I suddenly realized that she had grown so thin, that she was the reason why I could carry her more easily. Suddenly it hit me. She had buried so much pain and bitterness in her heart. Subconsciously, I reached out and touched her head. Our son came in at the moment and said, "Dad, it's time to carry Mom out." To him, seeing his father carrying his mother out had become an essential part of his life. My wife gestured to our son to come closer and hugged him tightly. I turned my face away because I was afraid I might change my mind at the last minute. I then held her in my arms, walking from the bedroom, through the sitting room to the hallway. Her hands surrounded my neck softly and naturally. I held her body tightly. It was just like our wedding day. But her much lighter weight made me sad. On the last day, when I held her in my arms, I could hardly move a step. Our son had gone to school. I held her tightly and said, I hadn't noticed that our life lacked intimacy. I drove to the office, jumped out of the car swiftly and without locking the door. I was afraid any delay would make me change my mind. I walked upstairs. Jane opened the door and I said to her, "Sorry, Jane, I do not want a divorce anymore." She looked at me astonished, and then touched my forehead. "Do you have a fever?" she said. I moved her hand off my head. "Sorry, Jane," I said. "I won't divorce." My marriage life was boring, probably because she and I didn't value the details of our lives, not because we didn't love each other anymore. Now I realize that since I carried her into my home on our wedding day, I am supposed to hold her until death do us apart. Jane seemed to suddenly wake up. She gave me a loud slap and then slammed the door and burst into tears. I walked downstairs and drove away. At the flower shop on the way, I ordered a bouquet of flowers for my wife. The sales girl asked me what to write on the card. I smiled and wrote, "I'll carry you out every morning until death do us apart." That evening I arrived home. Flowers in my hand and a smile on my face, I ran upstairs, only to find my wife in bed, dead. My wife had been fighting cancer for months, and I was so busy with Jane to even notice. She knew that she would die soon, and she wanted to save me from whatever negative reaction from our son, in case we would push through with the divorce. At least in the eyes of our son, I'm a loving husband. Hoe lyk jou huwelik vandag met God? Is daar intimiteit? Of het jy dalk mettertyd al wegbeweeg van God? As dit die geval is my gebed vir jou vir hierdie week, dat jy kosbare ure saam met God gaan spandeer om daai intimiteit terug te kry. Mag julle 'n geseënde week hê. Kom ons sluit ons oop. Papa Jesus, baie dankie dat ons vanaand na U toe kan kom. Here, dankie dat ons kan sien hoe kosbaar tyd vir U is. En Here, ons vra dat U in ons 'n begeerte sal wakker maak om hierdie week elke dag kosbare ure saam met U te kan kom spandeer. Here, sodat as ons miskien daai intimiteit verloor het saam met U, Here, dat ons dit weer kan terugkry. Here, dankie vir die liefde en dankie dat U U enigste seun gestuur het om vir ons sondes aan die kruis te sterf. Heilige Gees, ek vra dat U asseblief saam met ons sal wees in hierdie week, kom woon in ons harte en kom lei ons daar waar U ons nodig het. Ons bid alles nie omdat ons dit verdien, Here, maar in U naam alleen. Amen. Mag julle 'n geseënde week hê.